which is a life transition. We know that one of the reasons why we needed to change the system was also to align the academic transition to also life transitions. And we know the age called adolescence and how important it is. That this is the time, it's actually the second time when the brain is kind of recalibrating, and that's why you find parents have a lot of issues with people who are high school age, between especially 10 and 17 years. And so this is a very critical transition because they are also transitioning in life. The brain is rewiring. There's evidence to show that at this time, at that age, the brain is very active, and that's why things like sleeping enough. Our adolescents, we don't do that enough. For instance, you find that about 15% of girls of this age, get babies, get pregnant. And so this, when they finish this assessment, there will be like 2 months, at home and all that. And this age is when they are connecting with peers, is when they are developing their own identity. So how are we prepared ourselves as parents, as communities, to take care of our boys and girls over this transition period? Then the other thing is how are we organizing the senior schools? Because now they will be receiving not the Form 1s we were used to, who are a little younger. We are now going to receive grade 10 who are a little older. And we know the issues we always have with Form 2. So this is like now receiving Form 2s. And so I don't know how we are reorganizing, because things that we've been having, like we've had issues in our secondary schools, like, fires, them setting schools ablaze and all that because of anxiety. And it's just because we don't understand adolescence. This is a generation, is an age that requires to be given voice, to be consulted, to be given space to speak, to be given space to connect with each other, to sleep enough. So I think beyond just the academic consideration, which I know raises anxiety, is a very important life consideration that I want also to put on the table, Trevor. We know there are issues of dropout, like between, when you look at those that are registered now for this assessment of grade 9, compare with 3 years ago, those that set for the primary CAPSEA, you find that already we have lost 10%, around 122,000 of them. So where are they? So the parents that are watching today, the chiefs, the communities, can we account for this? And now, how are we going to account for a transition now between junior and the senior schools? And how are we going to ensure that we have 100% transition? So for me, I think there is a bigger challenge to society beyond just government and schools that we also need to table here for our discussion.
Okay, let me bring in Mother Nungi here from a perspective. How prepared do you think the parents are? I'm trying to set the stage in terms of 3 levels. So how prepared are we? What are the challenges we're facing? And what are the possible recommendations going forward? That's the structure. So from your perspective, how prepared are the parents for this? And not the grade 9 assessment test, I mean the grade 10, which is now senior school.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Trevor, and thank you for having me. I'm from National Parents Association, representing the parents, and ideally what we do at National Parents Association is to ensure that we support education, and that the role for parents is ensuring that we have quality education, and at the end of the day, we are focusing things like nutrition, performance, those kind of things. So when we talk about the preparedness of parents, I think we have a few challenges, especially there is a gap when it comes to how well are parents prepared. Because in my thinking is that we do not have proper communications, educating parents on CBE. And I think it's a very important sector that we need to see how do we fill in that gap, because the kind of challenges we're having with parents, the uncertainty, is because of lack of information, and we always say that information is power. So it is very important that we formulate it is, and therefore, if we close that gap, I think we will be all on board. And also, being that it is something new, we always have there's a teething problem whenever something is new. So I think when we close that gap, we are able to have everybody on board. And also the fact that it is a new system, we have so much to learn, both the parents and the learners. And if the two are not on board, or rather not understanding, then there's communication breakdown. Because the learner, yes, maybe the learner is well prepared, but the parents do not have proper information. So I think that is a gap that we need to close in because that is what is causing the challenges, the uncertainty. Because from my perspective, I'm also a parent of grade 5 and also Form 3. And therefore, you can also see the difference in terms of CBC and H44. And in my own opinion, is that CBE is a good system. However, we need to close the gaps when it comes to bringing the parents on board and having everybody with proper information so that therefore the transition is very smooth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Madam Mirino, what does this transition really mean for learners, parents, and schools as well? What steps have been taken to get ready for something that is new, that is going to happen for the first time?
Thank you, Trevor. Schools countrywide have taken initiatives to prepare their learners, and that is not just academically. May I cite one particular situation where we had to go through secondary school selection. That was an intense program, that was an intense process, and I'm pleased to say that heads of institutions, parents, teachers, and the learners collaborated. You find that many schools called in the parents and shared the information that they had, and this was a trickle down already from the Ministry of Education, from the Teacher Service Commission, and all other stakeholders. So what happened was that in the schools, we held forums, we held discussions, we got to know much better about how to go through the secondary school selection. And I believe that for that reason, the learners were adequately prepared in selecting their secondary school combinations and even the schools that they wish to join as they proceed. We have also seen what the Kenya National Examination has done over the years, which is presenting the national assessments periodically, that is in term 2 and term 3. That in itself has also prepared the learners academically, because you realize that now learners have been able to do this assessment in groups, individually. They've been able to go through the readers, which in senior school are called the textbooks. They've been able to study on their own. They've been able to carry out projects on their own. So academically, we find that our learners have been prepared. We also find that the learners have been given an opportunity to explore ICT, to research on ICT. So we want to believe that through all these experiences, the learners are ready to go into senior school. They have been equipped. We have done our best to develop the competencies so that now the next level is at senior school. So I think it's time for the senior school principals and the teachers there to lean forward and to receive the learners that we shall be presenting to them in a few months' time.
All right, Dr. Sugut, are the schools prepared enough with facilities for senior classes?
Thank you, Trevor, and member colleagues who are here this evening. I think for me, I must say that our transition to grade 10, we are more prepared than we were when we were transiting from 7.423 to 8.44. And the reason is that we have put a lot of emphasis on what it is that is required for us to be able to transition successfully. When you look at senior schools, we are talking about the schools that have been accommodating learners from Form 1 to Form 4, so running typically 4 classes. But now, they will be handling 3 classes. So simple math will tell us, definitely, there is more infrastructure. But again, in a more detailed manner, we look at what is it that is going to be offered in the curriculum in terms of STEM, which are science related, in terms of the social sciences, where languages and humanities come in terms of arts and sports. And we started this by asking schools, which are now converting to senior from secondary, to be able to declare what it is that they have. And the schools then were subsequently assessed by quality assurance and our field officers. And we asked them to pick the subject that they would be comfortable to offer. And the approval was given by the field officers who operate within those schools. The reason was to ensure that we are able to give a school a subject that they will be comfortable to offer in terms of infrastructure, in terms of staffing, in terms of the facilities that they do have. And we were quite deliberate when it came to selection. But that is why you've had our colleagues here talk about parental involvement. When you carried your child through the selection process to choose the pathway and the subject combinations, apart from the class teacher being present and the head teacher of the junior school, it was mandatory that the parent be present. The system would not accept if the parent was absent. And the reason was very simple, that we want to bring in parents to understand the children better and even support them. Because here, we are no longer interested really in which school the child goes to, but what is it that the child is able to do? Are we able to tap into the talent of this child and support them in the process? And that is why it is the pathway first, followed by the combination, and finally the school. So for us in the ministry, we are prepared, and maybe on behalf of senior school, because this has been a journey, we want to assure those learners that we are ready to receive them.
Okay.
It will be awesome to have them in grade 10.
Okay. Let me hear from my audience if there's anyone with any concern on grade 10 transition, and the parents, there are quite a number of them here. Yes, over there. You can pose your question or your comment, and you have the microphone right next to you. Yes, I'll come to you next. Yes, start with your name, sir.